Hi guys, welcome to another episode of The Aspiring Entrepreneur. I'm your host Hamza Chowdhury. It is Mother's Day. It's Sunday, May 9th, 2021. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. I did want to get this video out for you today, going over SPCE. We have conference call tomorrow, and I figured it'd be a good time to help you guys understand sort of what the short-term, long-term vision of the company is, doing, of course, a technical analysis and a breakdown of what I see the stock sort of doing in the near term and longer term. With that said, guys, as always, I appreciate if you did enjoy this video to hit the like and subscribe button. Again, we're always a 100% free content channel. So with that said, guys, let's just jump right into it. Thank you. And so one of the things that the founder, which is Richard Branson of Virgin Galactic, this is straight off their website. A lot of the stuff we're going to go over is straight up from the website, so you could definitely take a look at it. And you can see that, ultimately this company is really trying to get people out of space, right? They're trying to get people to get a tour, to get commercial flights out of Earth, which is incredible. I mean, we talk about cruises and flying on your dream vacation, talk about, actually literally getting out of Earth. And so it's really fascinating what they're trying to do. And ultimately, we are the vanguard of a new industry determined to pioneer 21st century spacecraft, which will open space to everybody and change the world for good. So obviously we know the Jetsons have already done that, so they're definitely wouldn't be the first ones to do it. But, it's honestly an exciting sort of concept that you can actually build a company that offers really commercial flights out of Earth. And so it's definitely an area of interest, and it's an area that we should explore because it's never been done before. One of the things that they discuss on their website is just their team and how far they've developed. They actually have some really cool pictures of some of the actual prototypes that they've used actually on some of these missions. So it's not like a Nikola or one of these things that are just sort of fake and visual, and you're trying to imagine what this thing's going to look like. And so really what they're trying to do is really be a space line for Earth, and that they can actually use their spacecraft to get people out and to give them flights. And so it's really exciting to kind of see what this could do for the future, and I definitely think they're on track to do it. And they're actually per their sort of outlook, it looks like they're going to be launching more flights this year, and so it is something in the near term future. So I would definitely say in that respect, when we do get to the technical analysis, it's definitely something we should look at. And what does the future look for this company, and should we be investing in it now? One of the things I wanted to talk about too was just the cost of a flight. And so they're actually proposing a $250,000 ticket price, which a lot of people can't afford, right? Most of us who are just normal retail traders and, doing day trading or whatever we're doing, right? $250,000 is a significant amount of price. And what this kind of reminded me of is almost like a Tesla Roadster, right? So back when 2008, when Tesla came out with the Roadster, it was a $150,000 car. And then they shortly after that came out with the Model S, which was a $110,000 car. And then they came out with the Model X, which was a $110,000 car. And then they came out with the Model 3 and the Model Y. And so the way I kind of look at this, guys, is that personally it's a $250,000 ticket price, which is expensive. But obviously as the sort of technology gets better, as more and more people take these flights, they're going to become more affordable, right? It's a new technology. It's a new concept. They've invested, hundreds of millions of dollars to build the spacecraft, to build the prototypes, and to kind of get it launched. Obviously, the sort of front runners, the first people on, are going to pay the top ticket price. But as they actually get income, which they really don't have, and we'll go through their sort of financial statements, that's going to help sort of offset, I think, in the future to bring this price down. Because ultimately, if they want to make this a commercial thing, something that most people take, they're definitely going to have to bring this under six figures. Okay. And so maybe if you guys want to comment below, how much would you pay to take a ticket out of space? Okay. Be interested to kind of see your opinion on that. So recently there was some changes issued by the SEC relating to warrants issued by SPACs. And so there was a sell the news event earlier this week that, oh my gosh, they delayed their financials, something must be wrong with the company, sell. And so added to the selling pressure was this idea and concern that they weren't going to be ready. And obviously when a company comes back and says, give us a week, it's not that major of an issue. And so tomorrow, again, Monday, May 10th, they will be hosting a conference call. Again, you can definitely jump on. I would encourage you guys, if you're new to a conference call, it's always great to hear from the executives of a company to talk about and reflect the quarter. And then usually towards the end, analysts get asked questions directly to the executives about the company, about where they're headed. and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions with the flights that are coming up very soon. I think as soon as next month for this company. And so definitely it's something to take a look at. But like I mentioned, this was just to sell the news. It wasn't a big deal. It was actually affected all of SPACs. It wasn't just something that was affecting SPCE. So one of the things I wanted to do is go through the financials. We talked about this on a past video. If you're interested in learning pretty much anything on financials, and this is specifically a 10K filing, you can go to BAMSEC, BAMSEC.com, and you could take a look at their financials. And you can see here that they're clearly on their cash flow statement, which is the amount of cash that they're actually bringing in and taking out, that you can see they're actually cash flow negative, right? And that's because, again, they're putting in so much money to make this thing work and to build this whole thing up, right? That's always a price. Until they start selling flights, not going to be bringing in income. And so you can see here that their net loss is 273, and this is actually million. And so they actually lose a lot of money. And that's why a lot of people are sort of, pessimistic about, will this ever happen? You can see that their losses have gotten bigger and bigger. Clearly, though, they are cash heavy and they have a ton of cash. And so you can see that right now they have $678 million and cash, okay? And this is as of the end of last year, okay? And so it's not necessarily worried about, can they afford it? Can they do it? They clearly have the ability and the financial backing by institutional investing. But the problem is, again, there's real no sales here, okay? There's no revenue. And of course, that's going to change shortly. And so really, is it, do you believe in the long-term vision of Spce? And that's really what it comes down to. And so again, them having such a strong cash base, of course, there's some assets here that you can see that they have about 803 million total assets. And so that's really what's interesting. Now, one thing to keep in mind, guys, as always, is the offerings, okay? And so you can see here, they did do some offerings in the past, and it looks like they still have some shares to issue in the future, okay? And so a lot of times what's going to happen is they're going to pump up the stock and price-wise so that they can bring in more income. They're not going to want to raise when they're trading at recent lows, okay? And so that's just something to keep in mind, is that companies need to raise when they're publicly traded in order to finance some of their operations, and they can't do that. But one of the things that to note is how many shares they have authorized now. And so the more shares that they have, is the more they're going to dilute the shareholders. And so if they bring in, and let's say it's about 130 million shares currently that they have outstanding to as a float to trade, obviously if you're going to add a total of 700 million over time, now you're going to become very diluted. There's going to be a lot more shares, and it's going to be a lot harder to move the stock price, okay? So that's just something to keep in mind long term, okay? But the key here is they're not making money. They're actually losing a lot of money, but they still have a strong financial and cash basis. And so they don't necessarily have to raise immediately because they're still strong in cash, okay? And the last thing, guys, I wanted to go through was just basically looking at the technical analysis of the stock. It's been beaten down. And so if you see this weekly chart, you can see that we've traded in this sort of channel majority of the time. And recently, due to all the news of Richard Branson and Cathie Woods, and a lot of people are selling shares out, you can see that this thing has fallen out of the channel. And so what this presents is really a great buying opportunity, knowing that if we can hold some of these key levels and find a bottom and a reversal, which we talk about a lot on the channel, right, is looking at the daily, you can actually see that this is essentially broken down and constantly making new lows. And so until when we had this double bottom here, and we had this top, what we expected this would hold and we'd make a higher low. And since that didn't happen on this day here, that thesis of a reversal is still not in play yet. And so what's really kind of interesting is if you look on the daily, one thing to know is that 90% of gaps are filled on a stock. And so if you look at some of these gaps, like this one here, right, that was obviously clearly filled back here at the sell-off that we had a couple months ago. But look, there's actually a fill here that we recently had right back here on this day here, which was around $41. And so you can see that the stock is just sort of stair-stepped lower, which we've also talked about, right, is that it's basically just doing this. And so what we want to see, of course, is an uptrend, okay? And so the key here is to look at the weekly, okay? And so if you look at the weekly chart, you can see it's still clearly uptrending, but we've fallen out of that channel. But we mentioned that there might be a gap fill here at $41, and then if that happens, what we could see is potentially a reversal happen, and potentially when we get up to this upper channel, we get right around that $41, okay? And that's assuming we can get back in this channel. The problem is, guys, this is a weekly chart, so if you're a short-term trader, that might take some time, right? That could take, you know, 3, 4, 5 months potentially to get up there. Each of these candles represents a week, right? This is a month, so that could easily take about 2, 3 months unless we have some really strong catalysts and news. A lot of these were squeeze plays that happened on a lot of stocks. We saw it on Palantir, we saw it on a lot of stocks that we covered. And so that's one thing that I would keep in mind, is that this is going to be something that you could potentially put as a long-term sort of price target for, or excuse me, this year price target for SPCE. But at the same time, knowing that we fall out of the channel, a lot of people are obviously going to be in the red of the stock, right? I mentioned to you, I was buying shares as well in the 20s, in the mid 20s, and I ended up adding at the 200-day. And so if you come here to the daily, right, there was a buy here, a solid buy here when we had some support back here at the 200-day. And we ended up knowing about the news with Branson and Kathy, and ended up just tanking the stock. And so it's gotten beaten down. But if you believe that SPCE is a long-term play, if you believe in Spce, again, this could be not necessarily saying it's like going to be like a Tesla, but it's going to be something that you have to believe in and then hold on to, and then just sort of wait. And so really, and my goal in this video is to kind of educate you a little more on SPCE, the recent action, their longer term vision, and really understand that this isn't a stock that's really going to be a short-term play. It's really looking at the long-term vision, opening commercial flights to out of Earth, which I think is going to be absolutely fascinating and amazing. And so with that said, guys, if you are interested in learning more about the company, I encourage you to hop on that conference call tomorrow. If you guys have any questions or comments, if you did enjoy this video, as always, guys, I appreciate you if you do hit the like button and subscribe to this channel, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.